Recap in minutes. In today's video, we will be going through an action thriller film entitled 15 Minutes of War. There'll be spoilers ahead, chill out and enjoy. The movie begins in 1976. Gary, a bus driver in Djibouti, picks up the students who are headed to school. Gary is greeted by Louise, one of the kids, with her typically cheery smile. Some of the children are having fun on the bus, while others are quiet and reserved. An African man named Barkhad with a pistol tells Gary to stop the bus as the driver is ready to go forward and points the gun towards his side waist. The group announced a hijack, which included several African men who were boarding the bus. When the father of a kid on the bus notices the situation, he starts yelling at the moving vehicle. On the other hand, Jane, the children's teacher, is getting ready for her class. After a long wait in the classroom, she finally enters and asks why the students haven't already shown up. She walked to the classroom next to hers to find out how many students were still absent from her class. 4 is the response given by the opposing teacher. However, she's missing all of her students. Gary's still driving the bus as instructed by Barkhad. When a student asks Barkhad whether they're still going to school, Barkhad hits him in the face, causing him to bleed. This time, Barkhad gets enraged and orders everyone to remain seated and be quiet. Otherwise, Barkhad will kill everyone who makes an effort to create a disturbance. Gary looks in the rearview mirror and sees a military person in the car behind them. He's about to call for assistance when Barkhad threatens to shoot him if he doesn't speed up. Gary is under pressure from Barkhad to move faster. In the back of the bus, the hijacker begins firing his gun at the car behind them, making the kids more afraid. Gary picks up the pace in order to outrun the car next to them. The military orders border guards to close the border. The border guards take a stinger and shoot at it to stop the bus, causing it to wobble and fall. When Gary attempts to get the engine to start, it doesn't. Barkhad is already enraged by the fact that the country's borders have been blocked. While pointing a gun at Gary, Barkhad commands him to leave his seat and informs the military that there are hostages on board the bus. On the other hand, the news is sent to the French authorities. Despite being in the hospital with his daughter, who's recovering from appendicitis surgery with his wife, Andre, a member of the Special Task Team is summoned to assist the rescue effort. Other members of the Special Task Team, including Andre, are now on their way to Djibouti for the operation. Lorca displays a ring that he plans to present to his girlfriend as soon as the mission is complete to propose. So because Pierre isn't interested, Lorca retains the ring and hangs out with the group's other members. Lorca asks Georges if he has been to Africa and what it's like. Similarly hot, Georges says in response to Lorca's question. A commercial plane will then carry them away. Jane, on the other hand, is informed about her students. She rushes to the location of the hostages and offers to begin negotiations with the hijackers. In response to the captain's question about her identity, she explains that she's the hostage's teacher. A general comes at the site, forcing Jane to leave the captain. Sneaking out, she approaches the bus. The captain tried to get her attention, but it was too late. She had already lost her bearings. There are now 22 hostages, including the teacher, in the situation. A hostage has been taken captive along with the hijackers. Just as Jane is about to board the bus, Jane is told to back off by Barkhad. As the hostage's teacher, Jane identifies herself as an American and explains that she's not French. She insists on accompanying her students on the bus. Barkhad eventually agrees. As soon as Jane gets on the bus, she approaches the student to inquire about their whereabouts. She also inquires as to if anybody is hungry or needs to go to the bathroom. All hands are raised. The French Special Task Force arrives in Djibouti and gets ready for its mission. They're on their way to the hostages' location in a military vehicle with 4-wheel drive. Evening comes and Barkhads have yet to be taken down by rescue teams. Jane takes care of the students' health and well-being. Jane, who's inspecting each student, gets to see Bernard, the boy who was hit in the face by Barkhad. Jane assures Bernard that the student's wound will be taken care of. After seeing what they did, Jane confronts Bernard's attacker about it. Barkhad assures Jane that the kid will get through this, but Jane insists on releasing the kid to get him some medicine. Instead, Jane is threatened by Barkhad, who points a gun at her chest and threatens her life. Jane follows Barkhad's instruction and returns to the bus. At the hostage location, the French Special Task Force arrives. They're greeted by the general, who inquires as to the team's captain. Andre introduced himself and the other members of the Special Task Team were taken to their quarters. Andre is asked by the general whether he's the son of Colonel Gerval. In response to Andre's reply, the general begins to inquire about the whereabouts of Andre's father. His father passed away last year, and Andre notifies the general of this fact. Andre and his colleagues return to their quarters after loading their weapons. On the same night, the general and Andre prepare their rescue mission for the students. Andre has to find a safe location for the snipers and weaponry in case the hijackers make any dangerous movements. Andre inquires about the background of the hijacker. According to the journal, this rebel group wants Djibouti to return to Somalia. An ultimatum has been issued by the hijackers on their request for them. If they don't receive what they want, they will kill the students 24 hours before sundown. One of the guards had reported the movement inside the bus to the journal. He has his binoculars focused on the bus. The journal has seen that the hijackers seem to be preparing for some kind of activity. As time runs out, the rescue team decides to act. Andre instructs his squad to be ready to respond to any threat at any time. Philip and Lorca are in position with their snipers on the field, while Andre and the captain scout the area for a safe place to hide and set their weapons. On the other hand, Andre walked away from the captain and toward the bus instead. When Jane asks the hijackers if she may go outside to relieve herself, one of them guides her. Andre's appearance shocks Jane, but he instructs her to remain silent. Before the hijacker gets to the rear, Jane lies and says it was only a snake. The military squad shines massive lights at the bus just as Jane returns to the vehicle, causing Andre to reveal himself to the hijackers. Andre heads straight for the quarters right away. Pierre and Georges inspect the camp and demand that the lights be turned off. Their identity as members of a French special task unit was revealed when the guards inquired. Georges is referred to as an old faggot by the guards who disregard their orders. As soon as the guards accuse the two of being rebels, one of them slaps Georges across the face with a fist. As Lieutenant Pierre explains the situation to the French military, the guard is skeptical. Georges regains his composure after the blow and assaults the guard. Andre approaches the general about the lights, but he refuses to turn them down. When they ask about the general's assessment of the area, he informs them that the terrain is flat and that it's hard to locate a specific location. An unrealistic strategy proposed by Andre is questioned by the general instantly. There's no better strategy for the general to follow than Andre's. While Jane is smoking a cigarette outside the bus and Barkhan approaches her, she isn't paying attention. After asking her why she's there, Jane won't divulge any of the details. According to Barkhan, a decent girl like her has no place in Somalia. For as long as her students remain in prison, Jane will be at their side. Jane learns from Barkhan that he used to work as a teacher. Andre returns to the quarters to share the details of the strategy he and the general discussed. Once the bullets are loaded into their weapons, they're ready to go on the attack. For a phone call from Paris, one of the guards summons Andre. French Special Task Force Commandant Michel instructs Andre to relay the hijackers' attack. To negotiate with the Somalian hijackers, they must adhere to diplomatic protocol despite her desire to terminate the hostage situation quickly. For the time being, Michel tells Andre and the general to keep their lines open in case they get another signal. Despite Michel's instructions to put the mission on hold, Andre and his team went forward with their plan the next day. They carry out the strategy they had planned the night before. Andre tells his team to hold their positions until he receives the go-ahead to begin firing at the designated targets. They patiently wait for instructions from Paris despite the heat. They're keeping an eye on what's going on inside the bus. Soldiers distribute meals to the students and attempt to convince Barkhan to compromise. Barring that, Jane instructs Barkhan to, at the very least, free Bernard, the injured student. Despite the soldier's order, Barkhan refuses to drop his weapon. Jane attempts to calm the students by ordering them to put their hands over their ears. The rest of the group instantly jumps in. Despite the soldier's order, Barkhan shoots the soldier instead. He's returned to his quarters without delay. Andre and his team are squabbling about who's to blame for the hijackers' failed gunfire response. On the other hand, Jane tells Barkhan that Bernard's condition is deteriorating. Although he's in need of medical attention owing to infection, Barkhan is unconcerned and just chuckles. An additional Somalian rebel comes to notify Barkhan that the bus is on its way and the kids will be escorted off the bus. Andre and his team are resting after tracking movement. He returned to the general's headquarters to discuss and get some food and drink. Andre was stunned when the general asked the mission be withdrawn. They would have issued order if Paris had intentions before the soldier was shot. Andre informs the general his squad has 3 to 4 hours left. If they don't act, the hijackers will abduct the kids. Jane and Bernard come as the general, Andre, and another potential sniper are conversing. The hijackers let them go to heal Bernard's wound. They're given water and medicine. Andre begins questioning Jane about the hijackers' agenda and weaponry. She told them the hijackers would transport them to Somalia at night. So Andre tells Jane about their plan to evacuate the students. Andre's squad is back to monitor the bus's progress. Jane returns to the bus to help the students, including the hijackers. Andre is in good position to carry on. There will be additional hijackers to assist Barkhan in transferring the students, so they must act quickly. The team begins reciting the code before shooting, but each must have a clear view of their target. A bus is approaching the hijackers. Andre radios the general for a shooting order, but he rejects it. He told Andre that firing the target without instructions was an act of war. Andre confronts his team with a problem. He says that it's approaching dark and hijackers are preparing to leave for Somalia. Trying to rescue the kids is risky for Andre. The rest of the team agrees and begins. Andre tells the general to inform all forces. Andre resets the code from 5 to 0. In a flash, 5 guys including Barkhan are dead. They're still hijackers and they saw the movement, but they still don't know where the shots are coming from. Jane awakens the students and prepares to transport them. Despite Andre's early success, the hijackers' allies are planning retribution. They were seen and were attacked. The gunshots have Jane and their students scared. Andre tells his soldiers to only shoot armed men. The war has begun. Pierre, Georges, and Lorca are heading to the bus to join Jane and the students. Andre and Philip also cover them. The gunfire has ceased and rescue comes. This left Jane and other French Special Forces members behind. They believed they had saved all the students, but George looked down and saw Louis bleeding. Andre, Jane, and the rest of the team groaned for their loss. The movie ends with all the injured individuals from the 15 minutes duration of the war as given first aid back in the quarters. The general announced that the mission was a success. However, Andre disagrees due to one student's death. Meanwhile, other students reunite with their parents. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for movie videos like this and to help the channel grow.